Hi everyone, my name is Curtis. Welcome to the Indo Chef channel. This is part 3 of my turkey series. In earlier videos, I set aside some of the less desirable parts and the bones and the carcass and neck and everything. Today we're firing up the Instant Pot for some easy homemade turkey soup. If you enjoyed this video, please call the like button on Zoom so we can still be together. Let's go. Let's start off with a generous amount of salt. You want to cover each piece, turn it around, rub it all over. Follow that with some poultry seasoning and do the same thing all over again. Pretty easy so far. This leg and the carcass pieces were set aside from a previous video. Be sure to watch that, part 1 and part 2. Set your Instant Pot to saute, let it get nice and hot, and add some grapeseed oil. We're going to sear off this leg first. Follow that with the rest of the pieces, give them a nice turn around after they've sat on the bottom of the pan for a little bit, just to build up some crust. Once that's all done, set that meat aside and let's build some flavor by starting with some onions. Fry them up for a minute, then add some garlic. Follow that up with some nice chunky stalks of celery. You don't need to worry about breaking this down into small pieces because it's just going to filter it out anyway. You can go ahead and add all the meat back in and follow that up with the drippings from the turkey that we roasted in part 1 of the series. Using your dripping container as a vessel, use 2 cups of boiling water and pour it into the pot. Stir it around a bit and lock that lid down. Change your cook setting to manual for 20 minutes and start tidying up that mess you made. Use some tongs or a long spoon to release the pressure. It will burn you. Steam is very dangerous. Please be careful. Next, we'll very carefully take the meat out and set it on a cutting board to cool before scraping all the meat off the bones with a fork. Set those aside for later. We're not done with these bones yet. Take them all and put them back in the pot. By cooking it longer, you'll release the gelatin from the bones and get a really nice thick stock. Grab your kettle. We're going to top up the water to the maximum fill line before we add our secret ingredient. Dried flower mushrooms are available in most Asian markets. They're full of an earthy umami flavor, and it's that something missing from every broth. Lock it up and set it for an hour on manual. Release that pressure and start pulling all the bones and larger pieces. You want to make sure you get the larger chunks out so when you strain it, it doesn't splash all over the place. With all these bones and large celery chunks, we're just going to dump them. I hate picking out vertebrae out of my soup. The only thing we're going to keep here is the broth and the mushrooms. The broth is now rich, dark, with a layer of fat, kind of like me. I keep these frozen veggies on hand, just in case I want to make some fried rice or just add to the soup just like this. Some people thicken soup with potatoes, but I'm Asian, so we're using a 1/4 cup of raw rice. This is the one time where you want this rice starch in your food. Normally you wash your rice. Since we're thickening the soup, we're going to leave that in there. Simmer that for 10 minutes. Add salt to taste. I always start with 1 teaspoon. You can always add more, but you can't take it back. Follow that with 1 teaspoon of MSG because I'm Uncle Roger's nephew. If you add 1 tablespoon of sugar, it adds a bit more flavor and a little more balance to the broth. The final step is to bring it all to a light boil before you add all of the meat that you set aside earlier. Then immediately turn off the heat, give it a stir, and be proud of the fact that you made turkey soup at home by yourself. So grab yourself a bowl, get cozy, and warm up on a cold winter night. I hope you enjoyed the soup recipe. The Instant Pot really makes things easier. I love that you don't need to worry about it boiling over, spilling, making a mess. This is a ton of soup, so fill up your Tupperware, but be sure to let it cool off completely. You can freeze this up to 6 months. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time.